at you on the camera. Happy baby. What's up, party people? My name is Jessica Johnson. This is my baby Jonah. Yeah, he is about to be 4 months old. What a guy. So I've been trying to make this video for a couple of weeks and it just has not happened because mom life, but I'm going to try to do this while I have a few extra minutes. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my struggle with anxiety. I don't like to say I have anxiety. I don't like to just cover my entire existence with that declaration, but I do struggle at times being very, very anxious. And over the past couple of years, there have just been instances that have been particularly hard on me. And then especially after the baby came, things kicked up quite a bit. I also think this is an important conversation to have because I am an outspoken believer and follower of Jesus. And that can be an interesting space to exist in as a Christian because, you know, you have these thoughts of, oh, well, if I just like had more faith or if I just really believed who Jesus says he is, I can have this full access of peace and I can be calm. It's interesting feeling guilt over those feelings. So yeah, I wanted to have this conversation because I understand it's not always that simple. There's also a bunch of fighter jets flying over my house this week, so if you hear that rumbling, that's what's going on. So I remember when I was younger, I had these weird bouts of anxiety, and at the time, you don't know what you're experiencing, you don't know what it's called, but I would have these instances where I would just be doing, I can't even remember what triggered it, but I would have these bouts of like shaking so bad and me literally thinking that like I was having heart problems or a heart attack. And I believe it was in middle school when we actually had me go on a heart monitor for a week and track all that. And my mom would literally also have to sit me in front of the television and like watch a show to take my mind off of my anxiety so I could stop shaking. And so that was something that started when I was really little. And then I would see flickers of it when I was like 20, but then it really started resurfacing when I was like 28. So when I get anxious, it's not normally around like I'm not an anxious person about like my future or job stuff or things like that. That's really not my problem. I get anxious about my health. So if there's ever something that I think is abnormal or something that's going on, I immediately start to think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I have a disease. I have something wrong with me. And I can tend to escalate really, really fast. Like it can honestly be like nothing. And my mind tends to go to the worst. So yeah. So 2 years ago, I have had some really big anxiety induced issues. And then fast forward, having Jonah. When I look back on my birth, it's still really hard for me to even think about that day. For me, living in it, you know, it felt pretty traumatic, and I'm really doing some work to try to reframe how I see that day, but it was a hard day for me. And I just remember when I was in the hospital just being really scared for a couple of days just from this like infection that I had and some other stuff. And just like quaking. I was getting scanned for something when I was there, and I remember the person asking me, they're like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it's literally just anxiety, but she could see how much I was physically shaking. But over the past couple of weeks, some of that has reemerged. I've been dealing with just health-related anxiety over things that are probably literally nothing, but it's enough to I would have like panic attacks. I was waking up literally in the middle of the night with panic attacks. I would literally wake up out of my sleep to a racing heart. And that would make me think something's wrong with me, and just this spiral began. Some context is probably needed here. He's getting better, but Jonah was just sleeping absolutely terribly. So I was insanely sleep deprived, and when I'm sleep deprived, I literally feel like my health is like deteriorating. So being sleep deprived definitely did not help. But also, my mom died when she was 44 years old. I was 14, and I've talked to some of my other siblings, there's 4 of us total, and all of us to some degree struggle with a similar issue. I think because my mom died young, there's some trauma there that we're all thinking like, oh my gosh, better make it past 44. And so I really think that's like the core issue of the problem. So yeah, that's fun, been dealing with that. What I don't want to do is sit here, because I know of a lot of other followers that are believers, sit here and say, oh, these things are just like happening to me, like I have nothing to do with it. After having Jonah and you know, in this postpartum period, I'm realizing that I'm alone quite a lot. Other moms can probably attest to this, that having a baby is awesome, but it can also be a really isolating season. Like, I never really visualized my life like as a stay-at-home mom. And so now that I am, you don't have coworkers distracting you all the time. You don't have something, you know, you don't have people that you're interacting with all the time throughout your entire day. And so you're alone with yourself, you're alone with your thoughts a lot. And I'm realizing that's actually not very healthy and very good for me at all. And I fully believe that we're not meant to do this thing alone. We're not meant to just have a child and be alone. So now that I've noticed it, it took a while before I really noticed it. Now I can do my best to combat that. And if I'm being completely honest and transparent, it's so much easier to drift than it is to stay focused. And I really like the example of, I don't know if any of you guys surf, but when you're out there and you're in the ocean, if you're not careful and you don't pick a fixed point on the beach, you're gonna end up so much further down the beach than you even realize. You'll be out there having a great time and you're gonna look back and be like, oh my gosh, where's my starting point? So you have to paddle all the way back against the current to get to where you started. And in the midst of having a baby and just a bunch of life change happening right now in general, I lost my fixed point. And I'm not saying this is the case for everybody that struggles with being anxious, but I do know if I had more of him than I had of scrolling on my phone, if I had more of him than the incoming news, I think some of these anxieties that I just sit and ruminate on, I could be casting onto him way more than I do. I have to be so careful right now of what I take in. I live in such a world that I can care about an issue that's happening in a small town in Wisconsin because I heard about it on the news. You know, it's like I don't think we were created to bear that kind of load that we do nowadays because we have access to so much information. And I'm not saying it's gonna be the cure-all all the time, you know, but I do know I see a difference in myself when I'm listening to worship music, when I'm making sure I'm putting more good in and more of him in. Something that's been really helpful for me the past couple of weeks is being really consistent with working out. And I don't just mean like, oh, just showing up to my gym and leaving. Like I'm a part of a very community-based gym, which is great. So I see people every time I'm in there. People are encouraging you. There's other moms. That's been awesome. And it's pushing yourself to do something really hard. So CrossFit has been a great fit for me. Keeping my diet really healthy has also been really good for me. And trying to make less decisions. So Jack has been meal prepping for me, which I am so thankful for. And now finding a group of mom friends that love Jesus, that we can be encouraging each other, and just having that support system, I think is going to be really good for me. If I did anything for this video, I just want to let you know that you're not alone, that I'm also crazy right now. No, this motherhood season is very, very unique and beautiful and hard as crap, and I just don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. So I'm trying to do the inner work. I love you guys, and I'm going to try to be a little bit better about posting on here when I can. So thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you next time.